But Riverdale is a lot stronger than you, and we're not afraid.
Ever since the mysterious town of Riverdale was introduced to us back in January of 2017, fans have become obsessed with the show, along with the relationships and lives of its cast members. And with the CW now allowing for an episode of Season 5 to appear each and every week, anticipation for the continuation of the franchise is at an all-time high. But what you might not know is that in order to make things work, the cast members of Riverdale have to follow a set of strict rules or risk being made redundant. So whether you're a fan of the show or just want to find out more about the crazy rules the cast of Riverdale need to follow, you've come to the right place, as we're about to explore each and every rule in detail, along with why they need to be followed. Stay tuned, as you'll need to hear it to believe it. But before we get into it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any of the new videos we post. Number 1. Leaving the hatred at home. Since there have been quite a bit of controversies over the past couple of years involving hostile working environments, ranging from smaller names like Lea Michele of Glee fame to the always recognizable Ellen DeGeneres, studios have been working their hardest to ensure that workplaces stay as positive as possible. There is nothing worse for a studio than receiving backlash due to reports of a poor working environment, as this not only results in the boycotts of the show in question, but results in actors not really wanting to be a part of the show anymore. Nobody wants to work in a negative space after all. This is why the number one rule enforced on actors by the CW is that all negative behavior, whether it be sassy attitudes or physical altercations, should be left at home. So, whenever the cast of Riverdale finds themselves on set or together in an interview, they have to act cordially to one another and then air their true feelings when out of the public spotlight. This is surprisingly easy for the cast though, who appear to get along pretty well with one another. But it must be said that this wasn't always the case. KJ Apa, who portrays the role of Archie Andrews on the series, almost broke this rule at first by coming off as arrogant on set and making poor Madelaine Petsch, who plays Cheryl Blossom, think that he hated her. During an MTV News interview, Madelaine actually aired this dirty laundry, stating that KJ wouldn't talk to her, with the rest of the cast chiming in that they thought he was a bit arrogant because he never approached them on set. But it looks like it was all a misunderstanding, as KJ clarified later. Since he was only 18 and a foreigner on set, he felt a bit awkward and shy. In other words, he just didn't feel like a part of the team until time allowed him to come out of his shell. But now that the cast members are so familiar with one another, many have described them as the cast of Friends in real life. Suffice it to say, staying with the bounds of this first rule is thus pretty easy for the squad. Number 2. Never talk off script. It might be true that Riverdale has some comedic moments, but all in all, it qualifies itself as a teen drama. Because of this simple fact, the writing of the show is incredibly important, especially when it comes to the plot surrounding some of their mystery. The dialogue uttered by the cast needs to give sufficient evidence to the viewer to allow them to guess and theorize what the answers to the mystery may be, without giving too much away. This is why it is so important that the cast stick to the script that is provided to them. And although this might make their jobs a bit more difficult, as everyone has those days where their brains just don't work, it's sticking to the script that has led the series to a 5th season. But believe it or not, this strict rule actually extends to the actors and actresses when offset. This doesn't mean that the cast can never relax at home or anything, but when it comes to the red carpet events and interviews that have been set up to promote the show, you'd be mistaken if you thought there was no script provided. And while the cast members are able to give true reactions to questions, there are two things they have to keep in mind. First of all, always mention the plot points that have been established in the script. In other words, if the producer of the show tells KJ that he needs to somehow discuss Archie's character in the upcoming season, he has to find a way to twist any answer that he gives during the interview to reflect this. Second of all, cast members are not allowed to say anything negative about the show, as this has a tendency of creating drama, which is, for all intents and purposes, bad for business. The cast members have, over the past few years, been able to react to some of the cringy writing of the show and give the appropriate eye roll every now and again, but this all needs to be done in fun. If there was any seriousness to the actions, well, they'd be in some big trouble. Number 3. Treat your body like a temple. Since the CW is known to house many a teen drama, the studio prides itself in being able to provide teenagers all across the globe with some incredible role models. So, while Cheryl Blossom might not be the best person in the world in the context of Riverdale, Madelaine Petsch, on the other hand, has to be an angel angel both on and off set. The CW is also known for casting some of the most attractive actors in the world, which is clear when you look at the likes of Cole Sprouse, Lili Reinhart, and Camila Mendes. Suffice it to say, the cast members thus need to treat their bodies like the temples they are, and stay in shape or risk being cut. Strangely enough, this also means that the cast members are not allowed to get any tattoos. That can't be covered up, as their characters haven't been written to have any due to the whole role model situation we discussed earlier. The cast member that has probably been affected the most of this role is poor KJ again, who has quite a few tattoos spread across his body, and since it feels like Archie spends the majority of the franchise with his shirt off, KJ sometimes has to spend upwards of an hour in the makeup chair having around 7 of his tattoos covered up. It would be especially strange to see Archie with the Samoan tattoos that KJ has, as Archie Andrews is the farthest thing from a Samoan character. Lili Reinhart, who portrays Betty Cooper on the show, also has a few small tattoos that need to be removed on occasion, as nobody in their right mind can picture innocent Betty sitting down to get a tattoo. But hey, at least none of the cast have been forced to remove any of their tattoos. Number 4, just do it. Probably the most important rule on the list is that cast members are told pretty early on that regardless of how much they might hate a specific line, or how much they may not want to participate in a musical episode, they are contractually obligated to do it. This is, after all, why each and every cast member had to audition for their respective roles with a special talent of sorts. The casting director wanted to make sure that they could both sing and dance, as musical episodes were always going to be a thing based on the showrunner's perception of the franchise. Camila and Madelaine were made to fit into the dancing scene, while KJ was asked to show off his singing ability, even though he isn't crazy about performing this talent in front of other people. KJ even mentioned in an interview with MTV saying, "People just keep forcing me to sing in all these projects. Riverdale is a perfect example of why I'm a musician, but am I particularly enjoying the musical aspects of the projects that I'm doing? Not really. I have to do it." Cole Sprouse, who plays the role of Jughead throughout the franchise, has joked on many occasions about how proud he was of surviving his Disney experience without being made to sing, as he doesn't like showing off his vocal range, which he admits needs some work. Little did he know that Riverdale would be the project that brings that streak to an end. But all in all, the cast members have a job to do, and have to do it well regardless of how they might feel on the day. And in a sense, we're pretty glad that Riverdale has taken this stance, as performing Archie is our favorite kind. Number 5, don't tell anyone anything. The showrunner of Riverdale, Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa, is known for the twists and turns that he created throughout the show. And to ensure maximum shock value, he has established a bit of a rule when it comes to script reading across the board. Rather than being able to discuss the full script of a season, actors and actresses are each given different scripts reflecting their own parts. This ensures that only those who need to know about specific twists are aware of such information, at least until the moment comes when hiding this information is impossible. In other words, the cast members of Riverdale do not receive full scripts from the writing staff. In fact, an episode's script is usually forwarded to the respective cast members only 2 or 3 days before the episode actually starts filming. This prevents the cast from discussing the ins and outs of their own scripts with those of their fellow cast members. It is then only at the table reads that the rest of the cast discovers what is actually going to happen. Since the cast then have to wait about 6 months after filming have finished for the episode to go finally to air, they have to prevent themselves from telling the viewer or interviewer too much about the season. It's a strange balance between telling fans just enough to keep their attention, but not enough to ruin the surprise. And once more, this is where having an interview script comes in handy. Number 6, be ready to say goodbye. As horrible as this rule may sound, it reminds the cast members that as incredible as their performances are, there is always a chance that their characters don't make it through the season. This is a trope of teen dramas for a reason after all, and as such, the cast members need to be ready to say goodbye to their franchise family when the time arrives for them to disappear for good. What do you think of these strict rules that the cast needs to follow? Feel free to let us know in the comments section down below.